Sworn the 402. Welcome to the Nebraska Hawks Nest. These guys are brave. They're Hawkeyes living in enemy territory. Listen, these guys are way past their prime, but they're still Hawkeyes. They're spreading the Hawkeye hype to all of Nebraska. The frost advisory is canceled. Corn huskers, more like corn suckers. Are you ready for this podcast? Let's go Hawks!
All right, welcome back to the Nebraska Hawks Nest, your Hawkeye oasis located in a nasty little Nebraska desert. Make sure you take time out of your day. Check it out. We got a new graphic. Hit the like and share and subscribe button so we can continue to grow the podcast and let everyone know all about it. My dog's over next to me trying to play soccer right now. So we're going to have that throughout the podcast, I'm sure. Today, it's going to be our 2022 Citrus Bowl, 75th anniversary of that bowl game. It's our special today. The Hawks are going to be taking on Kentucky. But first of all, before we dig into all that, we're going to say hello to everyone that's joining us today. We got the Miller Light Delight, Matt Meyer. How's it going, sir?
Hey, it's going well. Had a good Christmas. Just living the dream.
All right, man. Well, it's good. The family had a happy holidays, and we got Kyle Schlicker, baby. How's it going, man?
Awesome, guys. Always good. Always a fun time to be here, man. This is great stuff.
Can we say Kyle Schlicker, the ultimate kicker?
Yep.
You can.
I just
you
say
can.
I'm going to say I'm going with the craft brew guru, Kyle Schlicker. That's my new one. And then we got a friend of the show, Coach Hack, Jason Hackwell, who specializes in analyzing quarterbacks and receivers. He's going to hang out here with us today and share a lot of his knowledge. I'm sure if you follow any Hawkeye groups on social media, you see a lot of his posts and a lot of his information. So welcome to the podcast, Coach. We're excited to have you.
Thank you. It's fun. Just celebrating my birthday, and this is a way to top it off.
Happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to apologize that you have to spend your birthday with a bunch of goofballs like us, but we appreciate it very much. And time to introduce you guys to our special guest, our celebrity guest picker today.
Let's do it.
None other than Hawkeye Elvis.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's exciting stuff right there.
That's awesome.
Mr. Hawkeye Elvis. It's great to have you. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm back here in the black and gold jungle room after a big Hawkeye basketball win in Sioux Falls last Saturday night. Get ready to go back to Carver on Wednesday, and then it's wheels up for Orlando on Thursday. So a lot of Hawkeye fun going on.
Well, I will be in Orlando, so you might have to shoot me a text. We have to get together I think I at least owe you a few beers after all your guest appearances for all the stuff we've done. So.
and I'm repping the official shirt.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh,
Attaboy.
I tried, Elvis. I tried.
Available at all fine retailers.
I love it. We lost Adam.
Oh,
that's right. Hey, Coach, that's all right though. You get an A for effort, like I said. That it has the 402 on it.
Right.
It's hard to know the difference. We'll get the brand recognition out to you, and we'll get you something to wear to represent. So
Yeah.
Was that just me? Was that just me that dropped out? Yeah. Was that just me that dropped out?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's that Nebraska internet coming through again. Thanks for taking over. And then our friend Cory from Hawkeye of the Storm is here. He was able to make it on. Cory, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you guys doing? I apologize for the brief wait there. Good to see everybody.
Hey, no problem.
Hey.
That is expert sound quality, Cory. What kind of microphone are you using? That is just crystal clear.
This isn't anything fancy. It's just a Samsung directional mic, but it was the best one. My father-in-law is kind of an AV whiz, and this was the best one on the market for the price I was looking for. So it's a pretty simple little mic. There's no arm or anything. It's just a little tripod, and it does the job.
I like it.
Transition from a blue Yeti. Good. So
that's what I'm using right now is a Blue Yeti. So you feel like the option that you're using right now is quite a bit better?
I like it for what we're doing. I like it for what we're doing. A Blue Yeti is a good mic, but for podcasting, this just seems to be better. I like it more.
Okay.
Less background noise and less distractions. So.
All right. Well, you may have sold me on this new product, so I might be reaching out.
I'll send you a link. Yeah, I'll send you a link to where we got it.
All right. Well, welcome, Cory. We're excited to have you, and Hawkeye Elvis and Coach Hack. We got some new faces on the Nebraska Hawks Nest here, so welcome, guys. We're excited that you're all here. I'm sure everyone notices too. Jerry was not able to make it. Captain Conservative, we miss him. We wish he was here, and he's got some busy things going on. And then Russell the Muscle, aka Russell Stover, was not able to make it as well. So wish them nothing but the best, and they will be back very soon. So it's a busy time during the holidays. So before we get started too, I want to just ask everybody, a little bit of a tradition on here. Everybody likes to indulge occasionally in an adult beverage. I wanted to see what everybody is partaking in tonight. Matt Meyer, what is your beverage of choice this evening?
Well, I'm starting off with some American wheat ale from Bell's Brewery in Comstock, Michigan. My cousin works for them up there and brought me a variety pack for the Christmas holiday. And there's been a lot of tasty choices, I guess. Tasty sampling going on. We got to sample a whole bunch of them over Christmas. My dad and brothers and sisters and everybody got to partake in the sampling, and it was kind of fun. So Bell's Brewery for the first couple, and then I'm gonna switch back to my Miller Delights.
Oh, not Busch Lights. So you're not in Iowa.
I am in Iowa. I'm just one of the.
Not Busch Lights.
I'm just one of the rare ones that's Miller Lite. Miller Delight.
Oh, did Adam get frozen again?
He may have. But we'll keep moving on. Kyle, what are you up to? What are you drinking tonight?
Tonight I've got some Maker's Mark, man. I switch it up sometimes when it starts getting cold out to some whiskey, bourbon, even some aged tequila as it starts to get pretty cold out. But tonight, I've got Maker's Mark and one of my kids' Christmas.
And that's the regular Maker's Mark.
Just the basic stuff, man.
Yeah, so I was told that the Maker's 46 was pretty good. It's got a little more. Yeah, Hawkeye Elvis. Elvis up for that one, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
There you go. Right on. We'll move on. Coach Hack, what's your or drink of choice?
Evian water.
Evian water.
It's my birthday, and
straight from the mountains.
I've already ate a lot of stuff I shouldn't have ate. So it's just water time.
That's all right. Nothing wrong with that. Good, Hawkeye Elvis, where are you at tonight? What are you drinking?
Well, I'm just going through the last of my Shiner Cheer, Shiner out of Shiner, Texas, and this beautiful Hawkeye tumbler. A little bit of peach, a little bit of pecan flavor, and Kyle, I got a little bottle of 46 upstairs. I think I'm gonna have to take a nip of that after I'm done here.
Ooh, buddy.
I was telling the guys earlier, I almost pulled out the bottle of Eagle Rare that I got about half a bottle left.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my internet tonight. This is like ridiculous. So, and I like
it's Nebraska.
That's the only thing I can say.
What happens when you run internet cables through the desert?
Yeah. It's not working. So did we get everyone's
No,
drink?
we got Cory. Cory, what are you after today?
I don't feel so bad after hearing Coach Hack because I know Adam wanted me to grab a beer, and I'm a whiskey guy. But I was kind of running late, so I'm going the underage route as well with just what the doctor ordered. So we may slip a little whiskey in here depending on how long we go tonight. So
what whiskey?
I'm a Jack Daniels guy. Although I will say if you want to go frou-frou, I've gotten kind of hooked on the Jim Beam Peach. Which I was never a Jim Beam guy, but man, that peach stuff is good. You can slip that in anything, and it's good. So we may slip that in tonight.
Gotcha. So Winston Peach, which is Bancroft, Iowa, made there. That's pretty good too for a peach.
Okay.
For a peach whiskey, if you ever get a shot at it.
Absolutely.
It's sold, I think, Hy-Vee and places around. But yeah, nice people that run that distillery, and it's a smooth peach. You can just do it on the rocks. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Cory, for everyone that's listening, can you tell them a little bit about from the Hawkeye of the Storm and where they can find you if they want to listen to your podcast or YouTube show or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. From the Hawkeye of the Storm on YouTube, kind of a play on words, if you will. I live in Ames, so I'm kind of in a similar boat to you, Adam. We're kind of in the danger zone, if you will. But I have a weekly podcast from the Hawkeye of the Storm, again, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. But we also do an Iowa football postgame show with former Iowa offensive coordinator Don Patterson, who is tremendous to work with. And it's been a joy to be able to talk Iowa football with him this year. We also do an Iowa basketball postgame with former Iowa assistant coach Gary Close, who, of course, was integral part of the success of Tom Davis and those incredible teams of the 80s and 90s. And, of course, he had a couple Final Four trips up in Wisconsin as well. So all that can be found either on my channel from the Hawkeye of the Storm or Iowa at the Voice of College Football partnerships with Mark Rogers, if anybody's familiar with his work on YouTube. Yeah. So we have a good time. Always open to new subscribers, though. We've got a nice growing audience, so we appreciate everybody listening.
Well, that would be because you guys put out a quality product. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. So you guys are a lot of fun to listen to. And I saw that you did quite a bit of content for signing day, and Iowa's class looked a little scary there for a little bit, Cory. We weren't really sure where the chips were going to fall, and we really wanted you to come on and educate us because you were really, in the thick of it, talking to a lot of people, analyzing things. First of all, with Xavier Wamka, what was your thoughts on that? Did you see that coming? Did you think Iowa was going to get him? And what implications do you feel like us getting Xavier is going to have for, the end of this class going into the next one?
Well, I think first of all, I'll preface this by saying I am a self-proclaimed recruiting expert, so I don't want to act like I'm a buff in that regard. But I will say,
we proclaimed you.
Okay. All right. I'll take that for tonight.
Nebraska Hawks Nest proclaimed.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take the title. I think the implications have already been seen. I think there's a good chance we see them with the upcoming commitments, hopefully of a guy like Kyler Casper, and certainly Jaden Proctor's on the radar. But just the plethora of commits late, on signing day, and the boost that class got as a result of guys like TJ Hall, who, by the way, I got to give tons of credit to. I know Kirk did as well, but Don Patterson was huge in getting him. TJ Hall would not be a Hawkeye today if it wasn't for Don Patterson. Don coached his father Terrence at Western Illinois, and that was really the only connection Iowa had to him. Really underrated guy. He's long. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a Julius Brents, who I know really didn't work out here, but I think a guy who can play fairly early. We'll see what happens with Riley. I'm getting the feeling that he may be moving on. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of the feel I've gotten in listening to some of his interviews here recently. And of course, you're losing Matt Hankins, and we don't know what's going to happen at safety. Do we get Jack Kerner back? I think that's a question mark. Dane Belton, could he declare? So there's this defensive backfield just got a huge boost by Xavier committing. Again, not only TJ Hall, but Cohen and Tringa, and I think I'm missing a guy or two, but they did. Yeah, they did a nice job with the defensive backfield this time around. And again, that starts with Xavier. I think this is the best class since 2005. And I know 2021 was big, but it was really offensive line focused. And I've had a lot of people comment on our show or call in and say, we need to go get a transfer portal offensive lineman. Whoops, Hawkeye Elvis just passed out. I said the word transfer portal. We're not used to the word transfer portal in Iowa. We don't really utilize that a lot. But
we got all frazzled.
I think we're okay on the offensive line. I know Iowa's in the portal for a lineman, and I understand. And Coach Patterson, we did a show with him last night. He brought up the need for tackle. I think Iowa's got some pieces there. I don't know if personnel is a problem on the offensive line. Obviously, there needs to be work done, but they recruited really well in 21 on the offensive line with guys like Colby, of course, who played as a freshman, David Cobb, Jennings Dunker, Miles Mislinski. You can go down the line. So I think they're okay there. That was just such a huge part of that class. This class, again, it was more focused on the defensive backfield, again, starting with Xavier. But then you had a couple nice pieces in tackles and Cale Crow from just south of us here in Story County. You had Jack Dotzler from Wisconsin. I think Iowa did fairly well at tight end. A couple guys who were kind of unheralded. Addison the String as a kid I'm high on. Again, totally flying under the radar, but we've seen Iowa tight ends fly under the radar before. And, I would say the one guy I was most excited about, Adam, and this is someone that when he committed, I believe in August, was getting a lot of hype. He actually lost a star on Rivals with Jazzian Patterson from Deerfield Beach, Florida. Okay. He's your prototypical high school running back that Iowa can typically target, 5'10", 5'10 and a half, 190 out of Florida. But what I'm seeing with Liddell Betts right now is he's focusing on what I call a tweener back. And I could be totally off on this, but you look at guys like Agumbawale from Wisconsin or White or Clay or any of these kids, Melvin Gordon. This Thunder Lightning thing, I've never been a huge fan of we need an Akram Wadley and we need LaShawn Daniels together, or we need Tyler Goodson and we need Gavin Williams. I think having those tweener type guys who can kind of go both ways. Sean Green's a perfect example of that. Sean Green was 5'10 and a half, 190 in high school, and of course he bulked up. He ended up 230, 235 in the NFL. But I think Patterson's a guy who can bulk up just by how he runs. Now, maybe he has a problem putting on weight like Akram did. We'll see. But just how he runs, I think he can be that tweener back. He's got good speed. I think, if he gets bigger, he can be really good. And certainly the kid Caleb Johnson from Ohio, he's already big. I mean, he's 6'2", 6'3". I know Kirk said in his press conference this past week, he's 225. Yep. So if anybody needs, if you compare that to somebody that we've seen recently, it's Braylon Allen for Wisconsin. And I'm not saying he's going to be Braylon Allen. That's 10 pounds lighter than Derrick Henry. I mean, that's pretty much as big as you're going to get. I don't know the last time. Does anybody know the last time Iowa's had a back that big coming out of high school? Because I don't. And it may not pan out. But
high school, no.
Yeah, it may not pan out. But I certainly I think you're seeing the Liddell Betts effect, I think, already at running back in so far, at least in the 22 class.
Well, that's a lot of good information, Cory. The other thing I really wanted to talk about too, and Coach Hack, feel free to jump on into. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and any of you guys as well. It really feels like we're starting to get a log jam of quarterbacks rolling in. Now with Deuce Hogan transferring, we lost him, but Joey Labas, Carson May, Marco Lainez. I wanted to talk to, Coach Hack or Cory, whichever one of you guys wants to go first. What are your thoughts on who you feel like the quarterback of the future is going to be, somebody that's really caught your eyes from what you've seen, and what you really feel like maybe this offseason is going to happen with the quarterback position currently? Are we going to see a transfer from Spencer or Alex?
You're going to see Alex transfer. Spencer plays the whole bowl game. I knew Hogan was leaving last summer. That's another one of those things that, because he couldn't figure out the offense, he struggled over summer. If you guys saw video of Hogan, he thought he was Michael Vick because he couldn't read a coverage. Like, he didn't know where to go, so he just took off running. He didn't know where to go with the football. Well, Padilla is in the position where Joey's actually the best quarterback on the roster right now. And what Kirk said, I'm hearing. Did you guys hear his press conference about Labas? Where he said if Labas took the field, the playbook's going to get really small? That's not the stuff what I'm hearing out of camp. I'm not sure why Kirk said that. If he was testing what happened with Hogan, I don't know why he was saying stuff like that, because people around the team that I talked to have said Joey is learning quickly. And what he does with the scout team, he makes our defense look silly sometimes. And that was the question to Kirk, and Kirk downplayed the whole thing. But I don't know how far you want to go in advance, but Marco is my guy. I don't know if you probably saw my stuff about Marco 6 months ago. I have him as a low 5-star right now. I know he's only a 4-star, but I only had, like I told you Levis was a 3-star for him. Petrus was a high 3-star, but that was only because of arm strength. But Petrus in high school, all his receivers were wide open. So he would just throw it up and they would catch it. So you really didn't know how good Petrus could read a coverage, which is a lot of high school kids. Marco has this play that I just see over and over my head. He throws a perfect corner route. Now in high school, his arm, I'm going to go watch him play next year because I need to see his arm talent because I don't know how strong his arm is, but his accuracy is phenomenal. Working with Tony Rasiopi, he's been working with him for 3 years, and he works with him every day almost because they live in the same area. And you could see it in Marco. But next year, I mean, I think it's Petrus's team. I'm sorry, guys. I think Petrus is going to play the whole bowl game if he's healthy. And I think Padilla will leave. And I think Padilla will be a good quarterback at Colorado State. I think that's something like go back home to like Colorado State. I think he would be – Padilla does – I know you guys might find this silly, but he doesn't throw a catchable ball. There's a reason. I don't know if you've noticed the drops went way up when Padilla was throwing the ball.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't throw a catchable ball. I mean, everybody talks about, well, the receivers aren't catching his balls. That's why his completion percentage is under 50. Well, he has the highest drop rate of all quarterbacks who have thrown, I think it was 80 passes I saw by PFF. Like 33% of his passes get dropped. Well, there's a reason for it. Petrus completes, 55% of his passes? It was 60. I'm not sure where it's at now after the Big Ten championship. But you have to throw a catchable ball too. There's more, and Padilla never ran. Everybody was talking about his legs. Padilla never used his legs, and the one time he really did, he slid a yard short of the first down. If you guys remember that. So like everybody talks about him getting outside the pocket, but it doesn't really matter if you get outside the pocket if you can't do nothing with it, if you can't move. Move the offense. But for me, Joey is the future right now, but Marco, I think now he committed early for a reason, and I don't know if I can say that reason here, but
come on,
there's a reason he committed early, and we could talk.
We want to hear it. You just tangled the carrot
about it. I can't say it now.
Okay.
Like I hear things inside the program, but he committed this early. He was going to commit in January or February anyway. But there was some talk about some things going on. Marco's family loves BF. They love Brian's offense. They love what he does. And when Marco sees the offense, him and his dad, they see all these wide open receivers. And when you're talented, you think you're good. You're like, man, I'll make that throw, right? I'm going to complete that pass because I'm going to hit the receiver in the hands. That's kind of what that's why Marco, he's committed early. He's already learning the Iowa principles from Tony Raz. He's already learning some principles within the Iowa offense. Obviously not the X's and O's, but just, different pieces of it. But next year, if Joey gets a real shot, Joey will be the man. Carson May, he did get another star. I think it was 247, made him a 4-star. I still had him as a 3-star. I don't know what they saw in Carson May to make him jump to a 4-star. But that's just my thoughts on it. I don't think the quarterback – I think it's getting good and competitive.
Yeah.
May, Joey, and Marco. Petrus could never know what Petrus will do next year because he's going to spend another offseason with Tony. And I don't know if you guys knew who Kenny Pickett was before this year. He worked with Tony for the last 3 years, and every year he got better. And this year, Kenny Pickett took off.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Petrus is going to do that. I don't know if Petrus has it, mentally in him. We'll find out. But I love the quarterback room right now.
Okay. Well, Kenny made a huge jump from last year to this year, and he, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And like you were referencing, Coach Hack, 56.6% completion percentage for Spencer so far. Alex Padilla is at 49%. Now, Cory, wanted to get your thoughts, Cory, too, on this quarterback breakdown. I know you have some thoughts. What do you think?
I first of all, if anybody's seen any of my content,
Cory.
I am a person that speaks my mind.
Do it. That's why we have you here.
That's why we're here.
Personal towards anybody, but first of all, I would not necessarily use Tony Rasiopi as an endorsement of our incoming quarterback. And again, I like Marco Lainez, for the record. I like what I see, but again, I'm relying on tape. I've not seen this kid in person. But let's remember too, Nate Stanley was coached by Tony. Spencer has been coached by Tony, and I don't think Nate Stanley never
wasn't coached by Tony until the end, until pre-draft.
Well,
Nate's still on his squad. He's still on the practice squad.
Yeah. But here's my biggest. Let me just say my biggest problem with the fact that all these kids are being coached by Tony Rasiopi. But I'll just say it right now, and maybe I'm old school, but the fact that Iowa pays a quarterbacks coach, Ken O'Keefe, he's the highest paid quarterbacks coach in the country, over $600,000 a year, and yet we're shipping these kids off to the East Coast to be coached. I have a problem with that. That's just me personally.
I'm with you on that one.
And so
we agree there.
But as far as the quarterbacks, I've heard the same thing that Tony or that Joey Labus has looked good. I did have a problem with Spencer Petras making a comment after the season was over, right before the Big Ten championship game, that we're not competing for positions this late in the season. That's just insane. Now, maybe he misspoke, and that's just not indicative of how Iowa's offense operates as far as competition, but that's insane. Yeah. I think Iowa needs to go to the portal. I've been very outspoken about that. If anybody's watched any of my stuff over the past 2 weeks, I think Iowa needs to look at the portal. Not necessarily, well, we're just going to abandon Alex and abandon Spencer, but I think this quarterback room needs more competition. Even if Joey is competing at a high level, Carson May's not enrolling early. You're going to have 3 quarterbacks this spring. I don't think there's, I've heard people say, well, there'll be quarterbacks that enter the portal after spring. Are we really saying that Kirk is going to be comfortable grabbing a transfer portal quarterback, a guy who he believes could start, without having an Iowa spring practice under his belt? I don't believe that would happen. And there are guys in the portal now that I think, again, it's hard to get some of these kids without guaranteeing them a spot. But given Iowa's struggles at that position, I just don't know how you don't at least make contacts with, the Thompson from Texas, or Braxton Burmeister from Virginia Tech. I mean, I know Slovis is off the board and Bo Nix is off the board. Adrian Martinez is off the board, but there's a lot of kids still out there. So I think Iowa needs to look at the portal at quarterback. I don't know that they're doing that. I kind of doubt that they're doing that.
They're not.
Marco Lainez has looked really good. Again, he's mobile. He's probably Iowa's most mobile recruit. I mean, Peyton Mansell was mobile, so let's just not assume that just because you're mobile that you're going to work out here. Yeah. But if he were to end up being Iowa's starting quarterback. What's that?
So was Adrian Martinez. Yeah. He was pretty mobile too.
For the record,
no, that worked out.
For the record, and I know probably everybody's going to disagree with me, I would have been fine with Adrian coming here. Would have been fine with it. And a part of that is because of his physical attributes. And, if he gets a spring practice, I know it's not going to happen, so it doesn't matter now, but he got a spring practice here with Kirk and with how Iowa operates as opposed to the Scott Frost system. I think maybe some of those erratic tendencies could have been reined in. But that I digress. That's obviously not happening. But Lainez has looked good on tape. He's probably Iowa's most athletic guy I can remember at quarterback since probably, maybe this is going too far back, but probably Brad Banks. C.J. Beathard certainly.
Or Drew Tate type.
Yeah, I don't know. Drew Tate, though, athletically, obviously Drew was a great athlete, but Lainez is big, physical.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Will Levis, who I was going to see this weekend for Kentucky.
He's a more accurate. Yeah, you're right. He's a more accurate Will Levis.
Yeah, we'll see. And again, I also preface all of this by saying, like, Carson May comes from a school that doesn't compete at a real high level in Oklahoma. So, you're watching him just tear things up, kind of like Spencer Petras did out west. We'll see. When he gets here, we'll see. And Deuce Hogan, again, I didn't see a lot of Deuce. I'm disappointed that we never got to see Deuce in an actual game.
But you couldn't.
If
they could.
Well, no. Well, we could have, right? There were games that how many blowouts? You had a blowout against Maryland, you had a blowout against Indiana. There could have been opportunities, and we really didn't see much of Alex Padilla until we had to, right? When Iowa
we saw him once.
We see him, but do we really allow these kids?
Hogan was out there one drive.
One time.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about taking a snap and handing it off to your running back.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm talking about actually giving him the playbook to work with.
You wanted to see his potential, which every Hawkeye
absolutely. And obviously, we know why Deuce transferred, and there were some comments made by Kirk that probably weren't great. But I do think Iowa needs to go to the portal. I've been beating that horse to death. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I will say this about the portal: if Iowa doesn't use the portal to its advantage, it will fall behind, because every year the portal becomes more and more of a factor. And I know Kirk doesn't like the portal. I know probably Tyler Barnes doesn't love the portal. I understand why. I know Don Patterson doesn't like the portal, but the fact of the matter is it's here and it's staying.
Yeah.
So you're going to fall behind in some respects, some regards, if you don't take advantage of it. And so I think Iowa, they're in there. They're obviously, I'm sure they're doing tons of work out there. I don't think it's at quarterback, though.
Well, all you have to do is look at what Michigan State and Mel Tucker did in 1 year with the transfer portal. You went from one of the worst teams in the Big Ten to toward the top. So if that's not, the proof in the pudding right there, I don't know what is.
Look what Iowa State hoops has done.
Yes.
Iowa State hoops has been, and Fred Hoiberg laid that foundation years ago, and now everybody's doing it. But TJ Otzelberg has come in here and completely changed the culture here in Ames, and he's done it with Isaiah Brockington, Gabe Kalcher. You can go down the line. So it can be done. It's different in football. I get that. And you have to have the right pieces. You don't just go after anybody. But there's just a lot of action out there. I mean, perfect examples. Wyoming is just completely, if anybody's been following that program, they're in a tailspin right now. And Iowa has connections to Wyoming because Tim Polasek is the OC out there.
Yeah.
So there are huge connections. They've got both of their starting quarterbacks are in the portal. They've got a star wide receiver who's in the portal, who's wanted by Ole Miss, USC, everybody. Yep. They've got every defensive back just about in the portal. So that's a perfect example of a school that, you could probably, you've got connections. You could probably take advantage of those connections. Again, I hope they're doing that. I have nothing to say that they are, but there is still time. But the kids are getting picked off. I mean, these kids understand. It's the same with signing day. You've got to commit and you got to sign early, or you may get left behind as a student athlete.
Yeah, and when you got Zach Ben Valkenburg, I mean, that's just, one of the very few guys. We haven't had a lot of them, but I feel like the ones that we have went out and got have been very successful. Kyle, you were going to make a point here a little bit ago. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, again, it was very intriguing to listen to all of that. That was very some intelligent listening going on right there. But, when it comes to guys starting and playing on the field, a lot of it has to do actually with how you perform off the field. Like if Coach Ferentz, if the coaching staff doesn't like you, if you don't perform well in the gym, in the weight room, and if your peers don't like you, like it's very militaristic where there's peer evals, if you will. And like if you you could be a 5-star recruit, man, but if you're a punk, you're not going to fit in, man. And I think that there's when talking about the Deuce Hogan, the guy who's transferring, I don't know anything. I'm just saying, like, maybe the reason why we didn't see him, and this happened to me while I was there quite a bit. I saw a lot of guys who were highly recruited and studs who just did not have the right attitude, didn't buy into the system, didn't do this, didn't do that. Showed up late to this and that, just had bad attitudes. And you saw the result of that. And that was my point. That was when I was going to raise my hand about that. But and I can't remember what else I was going to chime in about. It was just,
Cal, can I just bring up something real quick? Another position
sure.
I think Iowa needs to go into the portal for is kicker. And there are a couple kickers that are intriguing. A kid from USC, one of the best kickers in the country, who's out there right now.
Sure, and that's actually, thanks for reminding me. That's another thing I was going to talk about. Man, I'm getting to the point where I'm old school. Like this whole portal thing blows my mind. I watch a lot of Premier League soccer, and one thing when I started watching a lot of it back in 2014 when it was worldwide broadcast from over there in England, I started to get pissed off about they would just buy players. And they would just buy players who thought that they were going to make their team better. And then they would wonder why their team wasn't getting better after they'd bring in these $1 million players. And a lot of it has to do with team chemistry. And I'm sorry, but these portals and stuff, I get it. Like, again, I don't know much about it because I wasn't a part of it. But when I signed on in 2002 to play for 5 years, like that was a commitment that I made to play for the University of Iowa for 5 years. Like, blood, like I would shed blood for that to happen. And I think that that's missing now because you have too many options. So I get it while you are trying to build a good team. It's kind of like fantasy football. Hey, we got this opportunity to bring this guy in. And now when guys aren't having a good time, when they're not playing well and they're a third, fourth, fifth string QB, running back, whatever it might be, now they have options. They have more options than they did back when I played. And it was only 16 years ago.
Uh-oh.
Maybe my internet infected his. It's like all the guys with the expensive internet packages are like having the problems. Well,
Cory,
we lost you.
Go ahead, Hawkeye Elvis. What's up?
Hey, Cory. Talking about the transfer portal, I don't know that it's that Ferentz doesn't like to use it as much as he's just really selective about how he uses it. And the funny example of that this year is Charlie Jones. I mean, where would this team be this year without Charlie Jones?
Right.
I mean, I don't know that we win 10 games if he's not on the roster this year. So
I mean,
the same way that they're really good about finding that 2-star guy or that 3-star guy and developing into an NFL talent, find those, you don't need to go get, all-world guys out there, but you find the right guy. I mean, Charlie Jones played at Buffalo in the MAC, and look at the impact he had in the Big Ten this year. There are guys like that out there. It's just a matter of identifying them and bringing them in.
And for the record, I mean, you brought up, what you have there in Charlie Jones, and I know Zach Van Valkenburg was brought up. Let's not forget Jack Heflin, Mekhi Sargent. I mean, all these kids are transfers. I mean, I think, and maybe there isn't a quarterback that fits the system, but if you were to ask me Iowa's biggest position need heading into next year, now you can argue that it's offensive line as far as personnel is concerned, but again, given how Iowa recruited there last year, I don't think it's offensive line. It's quarterback. That's my opinion. Now, some Iowa fans are super defensive about that. It's the offensive line. All the issues are on offensive line, and there are a lot of issues. I've said to several callers, multiple problems they require multiple solutions. Like, you're not going to fix everything overnight. We've got some serious clock management issues at Iowa. We've got some game management issues at Iowa. We've obviously got some play calling issues, but
that stems the quarterback too, though.
Yeah, I mean, all those things. I think, you're right, and certainly offensive line play. I mean, it's a snowball effect, right?
Yeah.
Right. The offensive line is bad. That's going to make the quarterback worse. I mean, it's just. But I'm not lobbying that Iowa get a portal quarterback. I just want them out there looking. And maybe they are, and maybe they're keeping it under wraps. Usually these things get leaked out, right? There are reports that Iowa has contacted so-and-so, and I just haven't heard it. Kyle, I didn't mean to I know your internet dipped out, but you were making a point.
No, man, I just, was this transfer, when did this transfer portal come about? Like, I know that there was transfers allowed when I played and stuff like that, but it seems to me that, like, this day and age, there's just way too many options. Like, when a guy's having a hard time, instead of sticking it out and finding ways to make yourself a part of the team, it's too easy to just like press that reset button. It's too easy to press that button and just transfer. And I get it, like trying to make the team better, but I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure the 5 years that I was at Iowa, are we still the five most successful consecutive years in school history? I think you guys are the stats guys.
You are. It's correct.
No, you're right.
I think, and of course there were some guys that left, and some guys that were my friends, but it was very few. And I don't know, man. I think I'm becoming one of those old dudes. It's all about like, hey man, sorry it sucks, but suck it up.
Work harder.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Take it out for your brothers.
I was a guy who was highly recruited coming out of high school, thought I was the top shit, and then I met Nate Kading for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he went on to win the Lou Groza, and my freshman year he did that, right in front of my face. And I love him to death because of that. Like, it was the best thing that ever happened to me sitting behind him those 2 years, because I probably wouldn't have the 3 years that I had if it wasn't for him, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
A lot of the things that are happening right now in college football is we got a little bit of overcorrection to some issues that weren't being dealt with. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of a happy medium in the years to come. That's just the culture. It's a business. That's the way it's going to be. Guys are going to be, jumping around, especially if they're not going to get the position that they want right away. It's what have you done for me lately society. They're not going to be patient and wait around because, and a lot of those guys' minds, most of them, they think this is their opportunity to showcase for the NFL. And if they're not going to get that opportunity, that's eventually the end ticket. And that's what they're wanting to do. So it's frustrating. All of us old guys are just like, get off my lawn. I hate this stuff too. It drives me nuts. So Jason, what were you going to say?
I was just going to tell Cory a big thing is with Kirk Ferentz is he knows how hard the offense is to learn, which is why he doesn't want to transfer portal quarterback because they're still going to need a year to learn the offense. In his mind, that's how he looks at it. Because Iowa puts more pressure mentally on the QB than any other team. There is no looking at the sidelines for, the audibles. The quarterbacks make all the audibles, which is why Ken O'Keefe is there. Ken O'Keefe is an X's and O's coach. He has no clue about fundamentals and mechanics of a quarterback, which is why they use Tony.
No.
That's the reason they use Tony. So Ken O'Keefe, what he does, he teaches them how to read a defense. He's all X's and O's. So that's another, I think, my personal opinion, I don't know this is real. I think KF really thinks the offense is just too hard to bring in a transfer portal QB to play. Unless he would bring in like a freshman or sophomore to compete.
But let me just say this for anybody who wants, because we're, I guess, all kind of self-proclaimed experts. As anybody knows Iowa football, Don Patterson was a quarterback guru. All right. He's right there in Iowa City. And I know I asked him last night, matter of factly, what are the two biggest transfer portal needs? And it's offensive line quarterback. So, Don doesn't seem to think it's too hard to learn. I mean, again, we're talking spring practice, and I understand where you're coming from that you're going to learn the plays. What? Let's be honest, though, as far as audibles are concerned, when's the last time Iowa was audibled into a pass?
A lot. Do you realize how often?
No, I don't. Not at the line of scrimmage.
They audible into a run.
The audibles, which you want to see what Petrus did. Like, the back-to-back fullback dives this year that everybody went crazy over? During that, Petrus was audibling. He wanted to do a play-action pass or an outside run. But Kirk Ferentz didn't like that, so we called timeout. Do you notice before the quarterback sneak and the fullback dive, KF called the timeout, and they went out and ran the exact same play.
So when's the last time Iowa has audibled and actually ran a pass?
They do it quite a bit throughout.
I'm just asking because I don't remember one, and I don't think Don probably remembers one.
I mean, they do. When he comes up, he reads the cover.
Now, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could be too.
I think it's a little bit. I just think it's a little bit overhyped that the offense is too hard for a transfer quarterback to learn with a whole spring with fall camp. I think that might be a little bit much.
Cory, answer this for me because this might be like the armchair quarterback coming out in me. From what I'm watching of the offense, it does not look that complex and that dynamic. You can see what's coming a mile away.
Let's be honest. It's more complex than any of us would understand. I mean, these kids are working day and night trying to learn the offense. I get that. But you're right. I think, the zone blocking, the run zone scheme, Hawkeye Elvis is sideways. What's going on here?
I don't know.
I know there's been some
the podcast has gone sideways. I think he's in a stress call.
I've heard people talk about how the especially with the rules on chop blocks now that the zone run scheme is a bit hard for linemen now. And I understand there's a lot of pressure put on any quarterback. But I'm not going to act like I'm a quarterback guru. That's why like I said, I love talking to Don Patterson about this stuff because he is. And of course he was at Iowa, during the Chuck Long era and was able to coach him. And I mean, we're talking obviously Bill Snyder, Don Patterson, two of the best quarterback minds in Iowa history on that staff. So, I don't know. Again, I think that's overhyped. I guess I can't validate that. Again, we're talking some of these kids like Burmeister. I'm not saying Burmeister's I'm just giving him as an example. He's been at Oregon. He's been at Virginia Tech. You'd have to think a kid like that can probably learn an offense pretty quickly. He's a grad transfer, so this is going to be his, at least fifth year. I would think that he can probably learn the Iowa offense, which rates like one of the it's like 112th, right, overall in total offense in the FBS, and there's like 120 FBS teams. So
in yards, they'll never get a lot of yards.
Well, but all of the metrics say that they're 100 plus in offense. Whether we're talking
this
points
year,
per game, red zone offense, everything. So I don't know that there's much. There's real. I mean, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer, but there's not much room to go backwards with the offense.
And yet.
We're
yes, too.
We won 10 games.
Yeah, you're right.
We won 10 games 2 years ago.
Do you understand KF's style? Do you know why they're so low? Look what they did against Penn State. They literally took a knee 3 times to punt it to Penn State. Against Minnesota, Padilla literally came out and the reporters were like, why the heck didn't you guys try to score inside the 5-yard line? They were told by KF not to score until 3rd down when they gave it on the stupid – I'm with you on the zone blocking. They need to go to gap. My opinion, they need to go to gap. But anyway.
Especially this year.
Remember, they gave it to Goodson on 3rd down and goal. He got stopped for like a 3-yard loss. They kicked the field goal, but there was only 41 seconds left, which is what KF wanted. He knew the defense, knowing that Minnesota was going to pass, there was no way they were going, 60, 70 yards to score.
Well, for the record, he did call that stupid after he did it. So
no, you're right.
Just because it worked out doesn't mean it was the right decision. But
you're right. He did, because if you saw, like, what was it, the 2nd down play, they had a wide open receiver the quarterback missed, and they would have won that game. The defense completely missed him going across the field. He was on a crosser. So you're right, it was, but that's his style. That takes away from yards. And I guess that's my point. Under BF as OC, they've been in the top 50 in scoring twice, where they haven't even been in the top 50 in the last decade. Even in 2009, they were 86th in the country in scoring. They went on to win the Orange Bowl, 86th in the country in scoring. 2015, they were 54th in scoring. Yeah. But under KF, 2 years, they were 40th and 44th. And under BF, as OC. Nate Stanley, in 3 years, passed more times than Chuck Long did his whole 5 bowl game, 4-year career. In just 3 years. Nate Stanley had 63 touchdowns with 23 interceptions. Chuck Long had 70 touchdowns, but he had 40 interceptions or whatever. Chuck Long had 1 year where he threw 26 touchdowns, but he threw 15 interceptions. Nate Stanley had 2 seasons where he threw 26 touchdowns. Yeah. I guess my point is, especially with how good the defense is, KF changes this whole scheme when the defense is as good as they are. He knew. He shut down the offense. BF against Iowa State, if you remember, in the 2nd quarter, Iowa's offense dominated that 2nd quarter against Iowa State. Do you remember they outscored them, 14 to 10, but they scored a touchdown in the last, the end of the 2nd quarter. And then after all those turnovers started happening, KF shut down the offense. They started running the clock. So the yards, with KF as head coach, I don't even look at yards. That's like Nebraska. They're always going to get a ton of yards because they run no huddle. But they only scored 3 more points a game than Iowa. So I guess I don't really care about yards. I understand where you're coming from.
No, it's not just yards. I'm not just taking yards. Kyle would vouch for the fact that we shouldn't be, I don't think we want to see our kicker kicking 30 times in the regular season. No. The red zone efficiency points
kicking
per
is winning, right?
Yeah, points per red zone. It certainly helps his draft pick, right?
I think the gist of the whole thing is we'd like to see the offense be a little bit more productive, a little bit more dynamic. Now
Can we just agree the offense is bad?
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with saying that. We can say it's bad. Yes. We don't have to sugarcoat it and say, I understand that, well, it's been bad. The numbers say it's been bad for the last.
So my question is, when does Kirk Ferentz just take a step back and say, hey, Brian's doing pretty good with the offense. Let's let him go. That's why is he calling timeout in those stupid situations?
Because he loves the 3 interior linemen. He wants the quarterback sneak and he wants the fullback dive. KF, he understands the struggles at tackle, but he understands how good they were, which I don't think they were that great at the guard spot, to be honest. But obviously center, they were good.
They were better than the tackle spots, probably. So he was trying to emphasize that maybe, but
all right, guys,
it work.
Yeah,
we gotta turn the corner here a little bit because we were supposed to be covering a little bit about the Citrus Bowl, and we've gone off in the weeds big time, which is cool. It's
you
totally
should have
fun.
known that when you invited me on the show, Adam.
Hey,
that
there's nothing wrong with that.
We're going to spend 40 minutes talking about the offense.
I was getting so fired up. I'm like, oh yeah, and then there's too many of us, so I didn't want to interrupt anybody. But lots of good points, and I totally see where everybody's coming from, and appreciate everyone's points of view. So I'm just want to give everybody a little bit of a taste what it was like last time we were playing in the Citrus Bowl.
Yes, I would say he might.
All right, 5 yards taken off. It'll be a second down now. Second down at 16. Looking, Tate wants to go deep for the touchdown. A man open at the 20. It is caught. 10, 5, touchdown! Holloway! Oh, my! And they're on the field. The clock has expired.
So those of you that are listening on the podcast or on our YouTube channel, yes, it did take us 50 minutes to get to talk about the Citrus Bowl. So we apologize, but we are getting to it here. Last time we were there, we had a little bit of luck defeating the defending national champion, sending Nick Saban out of LSU with a bang. I was at that game. Drew Tate's family sat right in the front row in front of me. Hawkeye Elvis was there too. Fans were getting a little agitated and frustrated with, again, like we were talking about, the offensive production at times during that game. And at the end of that game, Drew Tate's uncle got elbowed in the nose because it was mass chaos and had blood just pouring down his face. And it was pretty freaking amazing. Awesome experience to be there.
We'll talk about clock management. Remember the clock manager on that drive?
Terrible. Yeah, there wasn't any
in the first part of his career.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Hawkeye Elvis, if you can kind of back me up on this, and I might have just been in a bad spot, and I've heard it's way better. But the tailgating, if you're going to the Citrus Bowl, bring protection, because it was not in a great part of town. I had about 5 homeless guys come up to me and ask me for money and ask me for a beer, which I'm like, okay, I'll give you a beer, whatever.
Well,
but
it wasn't the greatest place, but I'll tell you what, the one thing that Iowa and LSU fans did do that game was we ran that town out of beer, because if there's 2 fan bases that can tailgate like nobody's business, it's LSU and Iowa. And a quick fun fact, Kyle and I have something in common. We were both standing on the Iowa sidelines during that last time Iowa was in Orlando. So, I mean, Kyle earned his spot. I kind of maybe shouldn't have been on there, but one of my old college professors worked for Bright House Networks, which was like, one of the big cable companies there. And he got a sideline passes. It's like, you guys want sideline passes? I'm like, yes, I want sideline passes. So I actually was a credentialed media member, stood on the sidelines the entire game. And it was funny because when we were moving the ball, I'm like, okay, well, I want to move down to the 30 or so. I want to be in a position to watch Kyle kick the game-winning field goal. And from my perspective, I saw the pass, and I'm like, oh no, Warren's going to get tackled in bounds. We're going to run out of clock. All of a sudden, he escapes. He's into the end zone, and the next thing I know, I'm on the field. I'm just like running out there with the players, and everybody's hugging everybody. And it was literally one of the greatest days of my life.
Yeah. No, me too. Kyle's over there flexing on us right now.
Hey, you got a bowl win ring. You flex that stuff all day.
Oh,
that's an amazing.
I got to tell you, by the end of that bowl game that day, I had the Capital One credit card commercials memorized word for word. It was like every 5 seconds. Let's stop the game for another Capital One commercial.
That was a beautiful ring.
Wow.
That is nice. It's very nice. All right, boys, we're going to get into getting everyone's picks. I want to hear what each of you have to say about this matchup. It looks to me, and now Cory, Coach Hack, Hawkeye Elvis, the Miller Lite Delight, and Kyle, I think you guys might have some different opinions here, but we got our number 15 Iowa Hawkeyes 10-3, taking on the number 22 Kentucky Wildcats 9-3. Now Iowa is number 15 total defense right now, falling back a little bit. And then Kentucky's number 24 total defense. So those rankings really align with where they're ranked right now. We got Kentucky favored by 2.5 last time I checked. Kentucky's had a couple good wins this year against Florida and Louisville. Florida kind of took a dip there at the end. Things went sideways. I want to get each of your guys' experience, any cool stats that you've, conjured up from any of this. We're going to start with Matt. Matt, want to hear what you have to say, what your thoughts are, who you're picking, and why.
All right. So everything that I've seen out of Kentucky, their losses are who they should have lost to, and their wins are who they should have won against, besides maybe Florida.
Predictable.
It's very predictable. They actually look like they align pretty closely with Iowa. They're a little bit more of a turnover case on paper, as far as what I can see with our defense. We should capitalize on that. I hope that should bring us to win the game. I'm going to take Iowa. I know the points are at 2.5, so I'll take Iowa on that spread anyways. If our offense can do anything, we're going to be right in there with it. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Both defenses are going to come out and play. It should be a fun one. I hope it's a lot better than that Big Ten championship that was a disaster. So.
Yeah, I was there for that one. That was
rough. It was real rough.
Drove the whole way for a field goal.
You drank Indianapolis out of beer too, I heard.
Yeah, there are a lot of thirsty Hawkeye fans there.
For the second time in a row.
I tweeted them out. All the bars down there in downtown Indy, I tried to tweet them and let them know and warn them, and you choose not to listen.
They did not listen.
Pay the price. Now, Cory, I want to get your thoughts on the breakdown too with taking on Kentucky. Now, Will Levis, from what I've seen, a pretty solid quarterback. 66.5 completion rating, thrown for over 2,500 yards, 23 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. They got Wan'Dale Robinson, transfer from Nebraska, that's been making a lot of plays. He was a playmaker at Nebraska. That has not changed at Kentucky. Cory, where are you seeing this one going, and what are some of your keys to the Citrus Bowl?
Well, first of all, Kentucky's 9-3. I will say this now. I know I've sounded like negative Nancy on this show, and I'm going to continue that narrative for now. Kentucky is, I believe, the third to last Power 5 team as far as strength of schedule. So the only teams with worse strength of schedules or strength of schedule ratings would be, I think, Boston College and Pitt. Okay. So Kentucky's had and they've played a lot of bowl eligible teams, and of course Georgia, but they avoided Bama, they avoided Arkansas, they avoided Ole Miss. Of course, they play in the weaker of the two SEC divisions. I like Iowa's chances in this game. If you watch that Louisville Kentucky game, that one can scare you if you're an Iowa fan, because you think back to the one quarterback Iowa probably had the biggest problem with. Even obviously Michigan, the 42-3 blowout, of course, the blowout against Wisconsin, the blowout against Purdue, but they each kind of had their own story as far as where those games were lost. But that Penn State game, and I think we all can agree, if Sean Clifford finishes that game, we can't say definitively. I think there's a good chance Iowa doesn't win that game. Taquan Roberson came in, couldn't do a darn thing. And Sean Clifford, I know he threw the early pick, but man, he was marching up and down the field against that Iowa defense. And I have no doubt that the Iowa defense would have tightened up as the game went on. But Will Levis, of course, is a Penn State product. He's a little bit like a more athletic version of Sean Clifford. Not nearly as good of an arm as Sean. But Iowa's played him. Of course, Iowa actually was his first Power 5 offer. But you watch him against Louisville, 4 rushing touchdowns. He had a beautiful run, juked a guy out of his shoes, hurdled another guy in one play against Louisville. Louisville, 52 points against the Cardinals, and that's the most points Louisville gave up all year. They were a middle-of-the-pack ACC defense. And so Kentucky can score points. And again, you mentioned Wan'Dale Robinson. I know Pro Football Focus has Kentucky as a top 5 offensive line in the country. So they've got weapons. Again, Iowa's familiar with Wan'Dale. They're familiar with Levis. Iowa's strength of schedule, as we all know, didn't turn out to be what we thought it would either. So you could argue from an outsider's perspective, this is going to be the narrative, that this is probably the worst matchup as far as a 9-3 team versus a 10-3 team that you could possibly envision, just based on strength of schedule and how these two teams got there. But they're there regardless. So I like Iowa, and I like Iowa to cover. I agree with Matt. The number is small enough that I would take Iowa, but I don't think it's going to be lopsided. And I'm just intrigued by this matchup because obviously the Stoops connection. I have a lot of respect for Mark Stoops and what he has done down there. And Will Levis, we talked about transfers earlier. He's an example of somebody who's come in there and has, hasn't been all SEC, but he has been a really solid piece and again led them to a 9-win seat, potentially a 10-win season. They can win on Saturday. So.
All right. Hey, we're all doing it tonight. We're all having little glitches. Coach Hack, I really want to get your perspective after Cory spoke there about your thoughts on the game, but also tie into with your pick and your keys to the game. What you think is going to happen? What is so funny?
Kyle put on his championship hat.
Oh, okay. They're looking good,
Kyle.
I like it.
You flex all day.
He does. Like you said, he deserves to. We like it here.
It's just laying around.
Oh, shit. Sorry, Coach. Sorry,
the longer the podcast goes on, he's going to be like more draped in gold. He's going to have like a crown on and like a cape.
I can go get mine.
I hope so. That would be awesome.
All right.
But anyway.
Coach, what do you think about the matchup? Who's your thoughts on, who's going to take this game? And then also, too, I really want you to dig in a little bit on the running back position about Tyler Goodson opting out. If you saw that coming, and if we have the backs with Ivory Kelly Martin and Gavin Williams to be able to pick up that load.
Well, I could start with the running game. I actually think we're going to see, if you followed my social media, you've probably seen this, because people are really worried about no Goodson, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a worry. What you're going to see is less 3 to 4 yard losses, but you're going to see less explosiveness on well blocked plays. Gavin's not as explosive. I want LaShawn to get the ball because I feel he is explosive, and I want to see it though. So I've only heard about things in practice. We haven't seen it, but I really would like to see him. I heard he's really quick and fast. But Gavin is a one-cut pony, so he's not going to lose yards. Like, if you saw a lot, Goodson thought he was Barry Sanders a lot. And then we'd end up with 2nd and 14. I think you're going to see a lot less, loss of yardage. Gavin will get you 3, so we'll have 2nd and 7 instead of 2nd and 13 type of plays. I think the running game is going to be better as far as yards per carry. But you're not going to see Gavin, in my eyes. He might be faster than what I think he is. I heard he was a really good high school hurdler, so I'm not really sure in the open field. But I don't think they're going to explode like what Goodson would do. But I also think they're going to be grinding out first downs better. Goodson, if you gave him a hole, he knew what to do with it.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the vision. Goodson does not have the vision. I don't know if you've seen there was a lot of times where he did have a lane and he wouldn't take it because he didn't want to cut inside. So part of me, I just wondered if Goodson didn't really want to get hurt because he would just go down. Like he would just be like, okay, it's over. He didn't really try to, what the heck, Kyle? What the heck?
All of our internet's a hot mess tonight. We all keep glitching out here.
Do you want a prize?
I honestly think the running game is going to be, I don't want to say better because that'll make people mad.
I've been here all night.
I just think you're going to see a lot less, loss of yardage. Like Goodson lost. I don't know if you've seen my
less dancing.
With my graph I put out, I want to say it was like almost 20% of his carries were loss of yards. So, but he still averaged 4.5 yards a carry. So he was Barry Sanders-esque. Lose two, and then hit you for 60. And he did end up with over 1,100 yards rushing. But I think the running game is actually going to be better.
Okay.
In a sense of not losing as much yards. I think they're going to grind out more first downs. You're going to see less 3rd and longs.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it working. Because Gavin does. When Gavin sees a hole, he cuts, he hits his toes, and he goes.
Yeah.
Which is better.
No, Coach, I completely agree with you on that. I think that's a good analysis. I'm in the same boat as you. I think we're going to see some improvement and a fresh look at running back, and I think it's much needed. Less dancing and more, plowing through like what typically fits our offense a little bit better. Like Cory said too, it's going to be nice to see a little bit more of a tweener back. I mean, I think I've been looking for that for a long time, and he hit it on the head. It's exactly what we do need. Coach, who do you see winning this game with Kentucky favored by 2.5?
I got Iowa.
You got Iowa?
Like my critique of Will Levis, I had him as a 3-star. I think I gave him like an 87 rating, 86 rating coming out of high school. And he's got the same issues as far as stepping up in the pocket. I actually compared him with Petrus as far as stepping up in the pocket. I really think our D ends can come off the ball and get him, especially on their play action stuff. He never steps up. Kentucky is really good in the play action game. I don't know if you've watched them. I absolutely love watching them with Will Levis and Wandell. They're freaking awesome. Wandell is PFF had him rated as the #1 wide receiver in the SEC against man coverage. You don't want to play him in man. He's a David Bell Jr. in my eyes as far as in man coverage.
That's scary.
Yeah, we don't want that.
I honestly think with Iowa's zone, though, Levis isn't the type that's going to pick you apart. I know he has like a 67% completion percentage, but a lot of those are short, and a lot of it's against man coverage. And when you have a guy like Wandell catching 94 balls, and when they play in man, watch Chattanooga. I don't know if you guys watched Kentucky Chattanooga. That's going to make you smile. They struggled against their zone defense. I think Chattanooga may have even had a lead in the fourth quarter in that, or third quarter. But and that's kind of what I see. I see Levis getting sacked a lot. I'm hoping Campbell is a spy. We spy him. Because the moment he steps up in the pocket, he's going to run. Will Levis isn't stepping up in the pocket to throw the ball. Once he steps up, he takes off and runs. So I think Iowa can hold him, to 10, 17 points. I honestly do. Okay. I got Iowa winning 17-10. I think Wandell will get his, but the zone defense will confuse him. I think as long as Petrus stays in the whole game healthy, because the Padilla isn't. I don't know if you watched the second half against Michigan. The team just shut down when Petrus went out. They scored 21 points just from the time Petrus got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, Padilla threw an interception on a 5-yard out route. Like, it was just, I don't know. If Petrus stays in the whole game, it'll be 17-10 is what I got.
Okay. All right.
Plus, Kentucky's missing 2 receivers that were in the car wreck. Josh
that's
Hawley
true.
And Isaiah Epps. So I think that might hurt them.
Well, thoughts and prayers to those guys and their families too. Hopefully they get better very quickly. And obviously there's some things that are a lot more important than football and health. Health is definitely, #1. You don't have football if you don't have a healthy life. So Kyle Schlicker, the guru of craft brew.
I'm gonna call him the goofball kicker here after this one.
What are you thinking on this one right now? The Kentucky Wildcats, they're putting up 33.3 points per game. I think we're not giving up 33.3 points a game. Something's going to have to give. Kyle, where do you see this one going?
He's thinking. Give him a minute here.
Yeah.
Kyle,
he's in deep.
Are you with us?
What in the heck?
You froze. Your $200 internet froze on you.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, I apologize for my internet going out.
Call your provider tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the phone with Comcast tomorrow while I'm on my way to Iowa. You guys know me, man. I base everything off of emotion, and I've been doing a little bit of research, and I don't like what Kentucky's been saying about how the SEC is better than or harder than the Big Ten. And I just, I realize we're encompassing all the teams of the Big Ten at that point.
Oof.
Comcast.
This
is not good for you right now, Comcast.
This is a bad deal.
All right. Well, we'll switch. Oh, he's back. All right, Kyle, keep going.
All right.
I don't like what they have to say about how the SEC is better than the Big Ten, and talking about how the Big Ten's easier than the SEC. I just don't like that. So I don't know much. I know that they're 9-3. They're looking for their second or third 10-win season in 40 years or something like that. You know what? Screw that, guys. I'll always pick Iowa no matter what. No matter what the odds are, I will always pick Iowa. And you know me, I'm a kicker, so I'm going for Caleb Shudak to make the game win.
Wait. He's a kicker? Just joking.
We've kept him busy this year.
All these stats, I appreciate. I love listening to everybody, by the way. I'm a soccer player at heart, so I still don't know that much about the game of football. So I love listening to each and every one of you talking about all this stuff. It's really cool.
You just want to get out there and kick the crap out of the football. That's what you're all about.
Well, in my experience, anyone can beat anyone on any given day. And when we've showed up in the past and we do our thing, and I was going to mention Sam Brownlee, talking about the running backs. I was talking about a guy like him. Now that we got Goodson declared for the NFL, whatever, good for him. That's great. But, there's got to be some super hungry guys in the backfield who have been waiting for their chance to capitalize. And that's what Sam Brownlee was. He was a great friend of mine, still is. Sam Bam Brownlee. And then
I've liked what Williams has done actually up to this point. Anytime that I've seen him in, he has showed a lot of potential.
Yeah, no, I think he has too. And Hawkeye Elvis, I really want to get your thoughts on where you think this game's going to go. And
Comcast is done.
It's like Comcast knows that I'm on a roll, and then it just cuts me off and lets me back on, when it decides.
I'd be finding myself a new internet service provider.
Gosh, it's terrible.
Yeah, I feel sorry for your technician tomorrow.
I'll keep it short, guys. I'm going for Iowa. I appreciate everything that everyone's been talking about. This has been awesome. I'm going for Iowa no matter what. I don't care what they win by, I'm going for Iowa.
All right, now our celebrity guest picker, our favorite Hawkeye fan of all time. Some of you guys might have a guy called Bucknut or Big Nut, whatever the hell his name is. We got Hawkeye Elvis, 100 times better, the king of hawk and roll. Now, Mr. Hawkeye Elvis. He has got a wonderful head of hair. And we want to ask you from a fan perspective also, who you think is going to win this game? What are your keys, a few of your keys to the game? And also, we want to hear from you from the fan side, tailgating experience, what you're going to do down in Orlando, some of the keys to success for having a fun trip at the Citrus Bowl.
All right, first thing, take that Michigan game, throw it out the damn window.
Okay.
Michigan's really, really, really good. I mean, they're one of the top teams in the country. We had to play a perfect game to beat them, and we didn't, and we got thumped. Move on. Yeah. Look at the rest of Iowa's games. The big matchup for me, boy, look at our secondary. We're plus 14 on turnover margins, and Kentucky's minus 13. And we have led the nation in intercepting passes. That right there is going to be the backbone of Iowa's game plan on Saturday. That and special teams. And I'll tell you something else. It's bowl season. Dumb things happen in bowl games. Some of these guys haven't played for a month. Hell, we wouldn't have played for a month. Kentucky wouldn't have played for 5 weeks. And you finally get out there and you're finally going to play, and dumb things happen. Look how many of the games so far have just crushed the over. And I know we're talking about Iowa football, and I know it's a low over-under here, but look at our Nebraska game. We had a 7-card 21 and how we got to 21 points, for crying out loud. Are you kidding me? That's the kind of dumb things that happen during bowl season. That's the kind of dumb things that happen in our favor for Iowa. So we're going to get a special team score or something close to it. There's going to be just some really weird-ass play that we're all going to go, what? And, Iowa's going to win the game for starters, just like my boy Kyle. I never pick against the Hawks. But the other time, life's too short to bet the under, boys. I'm taking Iowa 25-21. Yeah, it's a weird score. It's bowl season. Weird things happen. Go Hawks.
All right, gotta love it. So, what are you going to be doing? What are some of your keys to having a good time down in Orlando at the tailgate, maybe at the bar scene? What are you going to be up to, Hawkeye Elvis? Where can people find you?
I'm going to be rolling into town on Friday with my man, Big John from Tampa. Is going to be accompanying me this time. And, Friday's a low key, everybody's like, oh, we got to go party on New Year's Eve. No, New Year's Eve is like a low key day. You watch the 2 semifinal games. You post up at a sports bar. No, the real heavy lifting, boys, is New Year's Day. The amateurs are out New Year's Eve. The professionals start New Year's Day, and they start in the morning because you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. Yes. And you get yourself a nice breakfast, nice cold bush latte, maybe a little shot of Fireball to get things rolling. Then for me personally, boy, if you've got a tailgate, if you're an Iowa fan, you're going to be there. Man, I'm going to come find you because I appreciate so much all the Iowa fans who come down here, support this team. And I appreciate all the Iowa fans who still like me and are fans of me and invite me to their tailgates all the time. So I get as many as I can, get in the stadium early, cheer on our boys. And, hey, we're 1-0 in this bowl game, boys. Let's make it 2-0.
Man, you got me fired up. I'm jacked. I'm ready to go. I can't wait for this game. Before we wrap things up, this is just a really personal question I wanted to know. I wanted to get Cory's take on the running back situation with Tyler Goodson leaving, with the backs that we have right now. How do you see that working out? And did you think that Tyler was going to declare, or did you not see that one coming at all?
I thought he would declare. I was a little bit surprised that he declared before the bowl game, but that is just how it is nowadays. I like Tyler. I think he's been a great representative of this program. I'm no draft expert. I won't claim to be. I do have a hard time seeing him drafted above the 5th round. He gets drafted in the 4th round, I will be shocked. So I'm disappointed, but I wish him all the best. Iowa needs a success story at running back, very similar to how they still need a success story at quarterback. They kind of have one with C.J. Beathard, but Mekhi Sargent and Tyler Goodson, if they can figure out a niche in the NFL, that'd be great. I'm okay with running back room. I agree with Coach Hack and whoever else made a comment on who they have. I like Gavin Williams. We haven't seen much from LaShawn. We saw him early in the season. Haven't really seen many snaps from him recently. They are very thin, so you got to hope all those guys. I mean, here's the fear that I have, and you can downplay it if you want, and I'm not going to comment on whether games should be shut down because of the virus or not, but I know there's 6 players who are unvaxxed. Players are testing positive for COVID, whether they're vaccinated or not. So what happens if Gavin and LaShawn both test positive? You've got 1 scholarship running back behind those. Well, you obviously got Ivory Kelly Martin.
I think they were all vaxxed, weren't they? Is that what Coach Hack is?
I thought it was 100% vaxxed. Am I wrong?
I thought I saw that too.
The last that Kirk said, there were 6 players who were still unvaccinated. But the bottom line is we know, regardless, if a player tests positive, whether you agree with the protocol right now,
the narrative,
you're done. Yeah, you're done. So if you test positive, you're done. And so I guess my point is, and it could be injury, it could be something else. If Ivory fumbles the ball in the first quarter, okay, he's not getting the ball again. I think we agree with that. His fumbling issues, he fumbles the ball in the first quarter, he's done. So now you got 3 scholarship. You got Devin Hilson, who's never seen the field, and then you got LaShawn and Gavin Williams. So I'm a little bit concerned about depth for one game. Elvis, you want to jump in here?
2 words: Monty Potterbomb.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
I'm okay with him seeing some carries. I'm okay with.
Reminds me of the old Wiseman days.
Absolutely. No, he's shown the ability to run the ball well. He's shown the ability to run the football really well. So I wish the best for Ivory. I want to see him go out on a good note because he's been a great representative of the program. He's been terrific on special teams. I would love to see him have a solid day. I still think if I had to put money on it, I would say Gavin probably gets more carries in this game. But I would love to see Ivory because he's obviously a great kid. He was with Iowa throughout all of the offseason issues last year and really was a vocal representative for this program. So you don't want to see him. He's got one more. This is his last chance. I don't think he's coming back next year. He could come back next year. I doubt that happens, but I would love to see him go out on a high note.
All right, boys. Well, we've taken up way too much time of all of your nights, our listeners' time.
It should be a 2-part segment.
Yeah, I know. We're going to break this thing up.
I like to talk. Sometimes I just talk way too much. You have to shut me up.
And
that's what
I'll
we
just
do here.
I'll just say this: I appreciate you having me on, and any disagreement I have is, as you know, nothing personal. I will say this, just for I know we were talking about the offensive numbers, and we all agree the offense needs improvement. And here's just and that's what I wanted to address to Coach here, because the yardage totals are not exactly, they don't tell the whole story, and I understand that. But here are I just pulled these rankings up as we were going around the panel. Scoring offensive ranking this year, scoring offense 96th, total offense 123rd out of 130, rushing offense 111, passing offense 111, passing efficiency 117, third down success 109, fourth down success 121, red zone success 121, first downs 110, sacks allowed 87. So that just adds. Yeah, well, we better be happy Tory Taylor and Caleb Shudak are Hawkeyes, right?
Could you imagine if that moved up to 50?
And let's be honest, if we've looked at the schedule next year, you're not getting 10 wins with those numbers next year. It's just not happening. I don't care how great your special teams and defensive units are. That offense has to get better.
Let's just produce an average offense and then keep doing what we're doing, and we're going to be good, boys. Thank you so much, Cory, from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Make sure to check him out. Coach Hack, Jason Hackwell, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on. Our favorite Hawkeye fan of all time, Hawkeye Elvis, the man, the myth, the legend. And then, of course, as usual, Matt and Kyle. Thanks for always coming on, guys. We appreciate it. Let's hope we get a win in the Citrus Bowl and end the year on a good note, boys.
Let's go Hawks.
Let's go Hawks.
Appreciate having me on. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Go Hawks.
Thank you.
Thank you.